Over the weekend, we put out a piece on our Substack asking, is Newsom versus Vance inevitable in 2028? We may be getting some information and closer to an answer when it comes to the Republican side of this question. So here we go. Turning Point USA, which is, the MAGA factory previously run by the late Charlie Kirk, I guess now run by his widow, Erica Kirk, although it's not totally clear to me what their plan is. They are now acknowledging they're laying the groundwork for JD Vance 2028. Now, we are 3 years out, and I think it's important to remember that rarely, if ever, is the obvious nominee 3 years out ultimately the nominee. Now, I'm going to come back to that. But this news comes straight from Erica Kirk. She went on Megyn Kelly's live show. This is the live Megyn Kelly show. And she said, after a bunch of hemming and hawing, that efforts to get JD set up to be the nominee in 2028 are in the works. Not a hint, not a suggestion, but that it is happening. Take a listen.
Mobilize the youth, but also to share the message of how amazing the country we live in. Yes, we have faults. Anything with humans have faults. We're all sinful. But he appreciated that Charlie was always there for him, and he was always there for Charlie. And the president has always had a very soft spot in my heart because I got to witness that he wasn't just the president to my husband. He was a friend. And I'll never forget that.
Yeah. And JD and Usha have been incredibly supportive. It's been really nice to see. And I look forward to you guys throwing the full weight of Turning Point behind them in about 3 years. Am I being subtle?
No, I'm not, don't worry. It's already, it's in the works. But
it's in the works. It's in the works. None of this should surprise anybody. Charlie Kirk was basically JD Vance's hype man when Trump was looking for a VP last year. Charlie supported him and pushed for him. And before Kirk was assassinated in Utah, he apparently told Erica Kirk that one of the last things on his mind was making sure that Vance had support for 2028. So Erica Kirk is stepping in here and saying not only are they going to keep the organization going, they are going to do what they can to keep Trumpism going and keep it alive after Trump leaves office. They believe JD Vance is the guy to do it. Now, here's the part that nobody in MAGA wants to say out loud. Vance is not really Trump's guy. Vance is Peter Thiel's guy. And Trump was reportedly sort of skeptical of Vance early on in the VP search. And it was not only Charlie Kirk, but also apparently Trump's kids who, for this sort of like crypto technocratic Thiel-esque wing of Republicanism, liked the idea of JD Vance. And Vance's political rise, including the cash that it was built on and the messaging and the connections, it really was put in place by Peter Thiel. Thiel's worldview is not working class, red hat wearing MAGA, not even close. It's this billionaire techno-libertarian project that wants less democracy, it wants more hierarchy, and it really would love to run government like a private equity fund. So if JD Vance does end up leading the Republican Party and MAGA into 2028, I don't believe that movement's going to look like Trumpism 2.0. I think it's going to be potentially even more authoritarian. It'll be shaped by some of the ideological fantasies of the tech oligarchs who see voting as an inconvenience that we have to deal with, but still figure out how to get what we want. And I think that's the real subtext here, which is that Turning Point is pushing JD Vance because they want like a continuity. But what the people backing JD Vance want is an evolution. They want a shift. They want a post-Trump MAGA that is certainly more polished, but more obedient to the tech billionaire interests. And JD Vance is like the test pilot of that movement. Now, Erica Kirk did do the usual hedging. She says, we have the midterms and, Trump's in office now and we should enjoy that and all of that stuff. That stuff is standard. But the big message is they are building the infrastructure now and the plan now for JD Vance to ultimately be the heir to the MAGA throne. Now, I want to go back to the warning. The obvious, natural, inevitable nominee 3 years out is almost never the nominee. If you think about the 2008 primary and go back to 2005, no one in 2005 thought that Barack Obama would be the nominee in 2008. If you go to the 2012 election, in 2009, no one thought that Mitt Romney was eventually going to be the Republican nominee. If you go back to 2013, Trump was treated like a joke, but he ended up being the nominee in 2016. Biden was written off in 2017 as he couldn't possibly be the nominee in 2020. So the point is, these things rarely move in straight lines. Coalitions shift, scandals hit, etc. The arguable difference here is that Turning Point USA, as a lever puller in MAGA world, is different. And we will see if Turning Point's influence is diminished post Charlie Kirk. I would argue it already has been. But the fact that Turning Point is already building towards Vance 2028 suggests that they have a plan. What this says for the Democratic primary, we just don't know yet. Thanks for watching. Check out this other video. And if you like our content, make sure to subscribe so YouTube puts our videos in your feed, and subscribe to the podcast on Spotify and Apple.